One.
You've found Wickett on Wisconsin, your one-stop podcast for all things Packers, Brewers, Bucks, and the rest of your favorite teams from all over the state of Wisconsin. We're powered by Wisconsin Sports Heroics, online at wisportsheroics.com and the Wisconsin Podcast Association. And now, here's your host, Mike Wickett.
Welcome in. Another episode of Wickett on Wisconsin. The podcast is here. It is the bye week for the Green Bay Packers, and with that, I want to bring in this week's guest. I want to jump right into it. His handle on Zoom as we are recording this is El Presidente. His Twitter bio says, and I just want to make sure I get this right, his Twitter bio says, co-owner of WisconsinSportsHeroics.com. Robin Adams is with us. Robin, thank you so much for being here. So technically, you're my boss.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. I used to listen to you on the radio when you were in Milwaukee, too.
Well, first of all, welcome to the podcast. Appreciate you having me be part of WisconsinSportsHeroics.com. It's been a lot of fun to write and to get back into the podcast thing. Unlike most podcasts, as you've probably figured out, I'm not terribly professional. You catch me often in the middle of a shave cycle. I've spent all day doing radio and also working with kids and... All right, good. So it's time to crack open a beer because you and I, we share the same sentiment, I think, when it comes to a certain group of Green Bay Packers fans. And that certain group of Green Bay Packers fans are those that don't want to cast doubt and condemn the young quarterback of the Green Bay Packers in Jordan Love. After 6 actual quarters of football played, 4 were really meaningful and 2 were not. I know you wrote about it, and you can read Robin's story, wisportsheroics.com. But before we really dive deep into this off-season or this off week and whatnot, why do you think Packers fans are posting and tweeting and on your boards and everything about how bad Jordan Love is going to be for his NFL career?
I think that people are just so used to the high level of quarterback play in Green Bay that nothing will make them happy unless it's another MVP quarterback. And they really caught lightning in a bottle when they went from Brett Favre to Aaron Rodgers. But even when they drafted Aaron Rodgers, nobody was happy about it. And they badmouthed him and actively cheered for him to
is that your son?
Fail as well.
Is that your son with us? We have a third person on the podcast here today?
Yes. I'm going to have to shift and hand him Hot Wheels cars.
I understand. I have to do the same thing with mine sometimes. Luckily, I've put all of mine down, so if you're watching on the video, you're getting live look-ins. You are looking live, as Brent Musburger would say, to Robin Adams' house as his son is. How old is your son?
He's 4.
4-year-old distraction. Get it. I understand.
Yeah.
Mine are 2, 2, and 2. So I'm not there yet.
He has a newfound fascination with Hot Wheels cars that he likes to watch him go down his ramp. But he doesn't like to do it unless I'm the one handing him the cars.
Always good for a podcast to be dealing with children who need you to be the person in charge of the cars. I was there in 2008, 2007, whatever the year was, when they eventually traded Favre to the New York Jets. I was in Green Bay. I was at the Hinkle Field House, the practice facility. I was there, and I remember he was booed. People had signs about how horrible Rodgers was and how Ted Thompson should be fired and Favre forever. And it was horrible to see because the kid at the time, Aaron Rodgers, had done nothing besides get drafted, sit behind Favre, and everybody if we were to quote those people, they would have the same quotes and comments that we are hearing about Jordan Love. So it feels like
some of them
don't
are
remember
the same. Some of them are the same people too. The same people who were bashing Rodgers when he was drafted and eventually took over for Favre are the same people that are doing the same thing for Jordan Love. And it's really frustrating because it does feel like they're actively rooting for him to fail.
And that sucks. It really does. And taking a step back, I'm not a person who breaks down film. I don't get the all 22. I didn't watch every snap Jordan Love took when he was at Utah State. I don't get to have one-on-one meetings with Love. I'm not Nathaniel Hackett. I'm not Matt LaFleur. I'm a guy like 99.9% of everybody else on social media and every other Packers fan that sits on the couch or goes to the game, watches, and has an observation. So in no way do I think that Jordan Love is going to be the next multiple-time MVP winning quarterback in the Green Bay, pantheon of quarterbacks. I don't think it's fair to put that on there. All I'm trying to say, Robin, is this. We don't know, so let's all chill out.
Yeah, and there have been a couple of examples of teams that have gone from one Hall of Fame quarterback to another. Joe Montana to Steve Young, Brett Favre to Aaron Rodgers. But there are no examples of going from MVP to MVP to MVP. I think that the San Francisco 49ers went from Steve Young to Jeff Garcia or something like that.
That sounds about
right. Jeff Garcia wasn't terrible.
He wasn't terrible. I mean, he was above average. He was fine, but he wasn't anything
a Hall of Famer.
Right.
But see, like the thing is with Jordan Love is that, like you said, we don't know. He could end up being the bust that all these people are wishing and hoping him to be. He also could be the next, MVP quarterback in Green Bay, or he could be somewhere in the middle, which is more likely.
I think if I were to pick, I would probably go along those lines. He's good. I don't know how good he's going to be. I will say this, though, and you tell me what you think in the 4 quarters against Kansas City, whatever you want to call preseason football, and then what we saw last Sunday in Detroit. To me, for a guy who has, only had one camp, and I'm not trying to make excuses. Some people call them excuses. I call them reasons. It's just having an adult conversation when you can say, Jordan Love hasn't had exactly the most normal start to his NFL career. Joe Burrow in Cincinnati was dropped into the starting spot. That wasn't going to happen for Jordan Love. Patrick Mahomes sat behind Alex Smith, and he was really good that second year. I will guarantee you this, if Jordan Love, who has not had a normal start to his NFL career because of COVID, playing behind the legend, all these things, if you were to tell me that Jordan Love were to start week 1 this year, 17 games ago, I bet he would look a hell of a lot better in week 18 than what we saw him do in week 18, which really wasn't all that bad.
No, you're absolutely right. In the article I wrote, I compared Jordan Love's first 5 starts or first 5 games to Aaron Rodgers' first 5 games. And when you look at the numbers, the passing accuracy, the touchdowns, the passer rating, Jordan Love was better. And a lot of people will say, well, Aaron Rodgers didn't have a mentor quarterback to help him because Brett Favre said that wasn't his job. And Aaron is mentoring Jordan Love, which is true. But I think that's a real slap in the face to the work that Mike McCarthy and all the quarterback coaches did with Aaron Rodgers to help him get to the level that he's at. He's just, we just don't know. And that's okay not to know.
It is okay not to know. And we don't know what's going to happen with Aaron Rodgers in his future. I mean, if a year ago at this time, or let's say 10 months ago at this time, there was the I'm not coming back. It wasn't going to happen. And then he gets to camp fresh out of Hawaii with Shailene Woodley. And it's like he's going through his Festivus press conference where he's just lighting everybody up. And then we hear that they're going to re-look at his contract and his, playing situation in the offseason, which made everybody believe, along with that Instagram post, that this was it. They were done. Like, this is the last dance with he and Devontae and whatnot. But every time you hear him talk, every time you hear Rodgers talk about his relationship with Brian Gutekunst, it sounds like, and maybe it's lip service, maybe it's 100% true, it sounds like it's getting better. He's happier. And who knows the conversations that they're having? Like, are they having that conversation of, okay, what if we kick the can down the road 3 more years and we extend you and we figure out what to do with Jordan Love. Like that conversation could be going on. They could also be having the conversation of, I'll play nice in front of the camera, which doesn't ever sound like Aaron Rodgers. And they all know that this is it. You know, there's so everybody wants to jump and be first. And I learned my lesson a long time ago with the Duke lacrosse case. It is better to be right, to be patient, than it is to jump and be first. So, like you said, Robin, we don't know about Love, but we also don't know about Aaron.
Yeah, that's true. And one thing that slipped my mind that I wanted to bring up was when Aaron Rodgers first started his first 5 games, when he played his first 5 games, rather, he had starting wide receivers to throw to. He had Donald Driver. He had Greg Jennings. He had Antonio Freeman, I think, at the end there for a little bit. I could be wrong about that. But Jordan Love has had practice squad wide receivers and our 4th and 5th wide receivers to throw to, because the Kansas City Chiefs game, I don't think Adams was out. He was out for the Cardinals game. But regardless,
Devontae played in that game. Yeah, he did.
Yeah, we were still missing some pretty big offensive pieces in that game. And then in the Detroit Lions game, we had all of our starters on the bench.
I mean, his biggest pass play went to Equanimeous St. Brown. And he actually threw that nice touchdown pass, or should have been a touchdown pass, to tight end 5. Whoever the hell that guy. I don't even know who that guy is.
Was that Tyler Davis?
Sure.
It was Tyler Davis. Sure.
Robin, you could have said any name whatsoever, and I would have been like, "Yep, that's it."
Sure. It was Robin Adams, who still needs his game check. Green Bay, by the way.
And
so Amari Rodgers dropped a couple too,
including the one that the 2 interceptions. One was not really Love's fault. The other one, Love should have seen the pass rush coming, moved to his right, and figured out the next play. Sure, okay. But again, like, that game did not matter. No matter what Love did, if he threw for 250, 2 scores, and led him to a win, I'd still be having you on the podcast this week. And I would still be talking about, we don't know. Now, there'd be a lot less vitriol coming from Packers fans. There'd be a lot fewer people out there screaming and yelling about, trade him, he's a bum. I think I saw someone say package him with Zadarius Smith and trade him away and lock up Rodgers for 3 more years and give Rodgers. Like, the WI Sports Heroics Facebook page has been a toilet for Jordan Love comments, and it's because of you, Robin, because of the story you wrote and you posted.
And my phone's been blowing up with those.
I had to turn notifications off. I'm like, oh, damn it, here comes another one about Jordan Love being a bust from Steven Nina, who doesn't know anything about football.
Yeah, well, I learned when I first started writing for Wisconsin Sports Heroics that you should never read Facebook comments, because if I read them all, I would never write again.
Right. Jordan Love sucks, and so does the guy that wrote this.
Yeah. But what's interesting, you talk about the different conversation we would have had if he had not thrown those 2 interceptions. In week 1, they took Aaron Rodgers out because
he sucked.
He sucked.
He sucked. The whole team sucked.
Jordan Love proceeded to go 5 for 7 for 64 yards with no interceptions. No touchdowns either, but 5 for 7 for 64 yards was a lot better than Aaron Rodgers was doing that day.
5 for 7 for 64 yards on the road against what we all perceive to be a really good Saints defense. Didn't turn the ball over. And I go back to that Lions game, and every time you see Love in there and they run the RPO and the quick stuff to the left or right, or when he can take off, that's when I feel good about it. Like, I don't need Love to throw the ball down the field all the time. I don't expect him to do it. But what we've seen out of Love, I kind of like. He doesn't have the quick release of Rodgers, and he doesn't at this point. I don't know if he ever will, but I don't know if anybody ever has the quick release of Aaron Rodgers. His arm seems to take a little while longer to get things going, but again, it's year 2 for the guy, and I don't have the biggest expectation level set for him.
Yeah, are you going to expect a guy, like, let's be real, though. It is essentially week 1 or year 1 for him.
Yeah.
Because like you said, he didn't have a preseason last year. That was wiped out by COVID. And then he spent the year on the practice squad, which appeared to be what the plan was, but it still wasn't the same. Like the COVID restrictions and everything kept him from having a normal rookie season. And then this year, with all of the drama surrounding Aaron Rodgers, he did get that extra work in the mini camps and all of that extra work in the preseason. But essentially, that preseason, in my opinion, was his rookie preseason. And it's such a double standard for Packers fans. I see a lot of fun ribbing of the Chicago Bears and their quarterback, Justin Fields, and how, as a rookie, he just looks lost at times, how he is learning the game, and everyone and a lot of Packers fans I see like, man, that guy's going to be really good. Once he figures it out and gets a little bit of experience under him, the Bears get him an O-line, he's going to be fine. But when it comes to Jordan Love, who has looked better, in my opinion, a lot of times than Fields in certain things, not in all things, it's, he's trash.
Yeah.
Wasted draft.
Yes. I don't get what that is. And I understand too. And it sounds like you and I are doing an excuse fest, and I get why people might actually think that that's what we're saying, but it's not at all what I'm saying. I think in 2022, the best chance for the Packers to win the Super Bowl is with Aaron Rodgers.
Agreed.
And you'd be stupid not to think that. I think probably the best chance for the Packers to win the Super Bowl in 2023 would be with Aaron Rodgers. But Father Time, outside of Brady, Father Time catches up with anyone. And Rodgers is playing at such an elite high level right now, you expect that to continue. If I said Rodgers is going to compete and be the top 6 for MVP for the next 4 years, you can kind of see that. And that's the gamble right now, is Rodgers going to be great and be Super Bowl caliber for 4 more years? I would say yes. And if you do believe that is the case, then maybe you admit you were wrong about where Rodgers was headed, and the draft pick may have been a little premature. Do you cut your losses, Robin? Do you figure out if you could trade Jordan Love? I don't know what the market is for him right now. I don't know if it's a third or it's a fourth, but do you just cut bait so the drama goes away? Maybe take a quarterback at some point late in the draft this year you can develop through. I don't know what the plan is. What do you think?
Thank you for asking me that, because I have a lot of thoughts about that.
Good.
I think that his trade value actually this offseason is going to be fantastic because of the poor draft class quarterbacks in this draft class. There's not a lot of great names out there. There are a few, but top tier talent. And when you look at teams like the Denver Broncos, who missed the playoffs but had a close to 500 record, that are going to be picking in the mid to late first round, they might be missing out on some of those big names. So I think that the Denver Broncos are an intriguing trade idea for Jordan Love, especially if they hire Nathaniel Hackett as
or Getsy. They're talking to him too.
He's interviewing there too. So I do think that those would be that's a definite possibility if they figure out an extension with Aaron Rodgers.
Got to wonder what Getsy and Hackett think of Jordan Love. Matt LaFleur is going to say all the right things. This was a Gutekunst pick, it feels like, not a Matt LaFleur pick. What do Getsy and Hackett forecast for the future of Jordan Love in the NFL?
I don't know. I haven't asked them, but I do think if we work out an extension with Aaron Rodgers that is going to help us be in a competitive window for the next 4 years, then I think what we're going to have on our hands is the next Jimmy Garoppolo situation. I mean, the Patriots did this, granted it was with a second round pick in Jimmy Garoppolo when Tom Brady was still there, but they drafted him with a high draft pick. You have the apparent guy who was going to take over for Tom Brady, and then Tom Brady never declined. They ended up moving on from him after they traded Jimmy Garoppolo for I don't remember what the haul was for him, if it was a second couple second-round picks or whatever.
I'm looking that up right now.
But I do think that is something where the Packers could end up going. And if they do that this offseason, I do really like Kurt Benkert. I know he's on our practice squad right now, but I watched the preseason games that he was in, and he knows what he's doing. He's not
the future
bad.
though. He's not the future though.
No, he's not the future. But if you need a guy to if you want to wait to draft the heir apparent for the next 2 years and wait for a good name to come up in the NFL draft, then I think that Kurt Benkert is a good guy to have on the bench that come in and kneel down and everything like that for you, you know.
Jimmy Garoppolo was a second-round pick and was traded for a second-round pick. Now, I don't think you're going to get a first-round pick for Jordan Love at this point. I think there are a lot of people that felt that Green Bay reached. I don't think that Green Bay can put out their ransom and say, you will give us a first-round pick for Jordan Love. I don't think that's going to happen. But then there's the flip side to all of this. Like, what if this really was the last dance? What if this really is a frustrated Rodgers who wants to get out, wants to go do something, didn't like the way he was treated? What if all of this, the relationship is getting better, it's still not great, it's still not where you want it to be, and let's say they win the Super Bowl, a month from now, the Packers say, you've been great with us, we've won 2 Super Bowls with you, we're going to move you. And I think if they're going to do it, move him to the AFC North. If it's Pittsburgh, fine. If it's Cleveland, fine. Whatever. Because they don't see the AFC North for 4 more years. So I would prefer that happens as opposed to Denver or somebody they might see in the next couple of years. If you're going to see him again, make it in the Super Bowl. Put him somewhere you're not going to play him in the regular season.
Yeah, that sounds fine. Or he retires, which he has said is an option.
Yes! My dream conspiracy is win the MVP, win the Super Bowl, walk out like Elway. Now, he would be turning down $47 million if he were to do that. No one's going to turn down $47 million. I don't think anybody would actually say no to $47 million. But it would be so clean. I want the Packers to win the next 5 Super Bowls, and Rodgers gives them the best chance to do that. But if there's going to be a divorce, I'd rather be a divorce where Rodgers rides off, goes to live in California in his $24 million Malibu mansion with Shailene Woodley, does whatever he's going to do, host Jeopardy, whatever the hell Aaron Rodgers' life is going to be after football. That's the way I want it to be, Robin. I don't want it to be he's traded, works his way around, and winds up replacing Kirk Cousins in a year like Favre did, and then beats Green Bay's brains in for a couple of seasons.
Yeah, Favre really pulled one over on the Packers.
He did. It was smart.
Way.
It was great.
It was it was something. But other than everything you just said, I think Aaron Rodgers retiring would free up all the money we need to give Davante Adams what he wants. And what better tool for your young quarterback taking over for a legend to have in his bag than the best wide receiver in the NFL?
Well, I've written about this, and if I don't want to see the Packers spend $27 million a year on a wide receiver. I just don't think any wide receivers are worth it. It might make a modicum of sense in my brain if it's while Love's contract is still Love's contract. And, who knows if Love is going to get that 5th-year option picked up, or if he's going to get the next mega deal like Mahomes got and Josh Allen got and Burrow is on track to get and all these guys. I don't know if that's going to work, but the formula is spend money while your quarterback is cheap to win Super Bowls. That's what the Chiefs did. That's what the Bills are trying to do until that big Josh Allen money does kick in. I'm actually okay if they franchise Davante and extend Rodgers for 3 years. The math still sucks for the salary cap, but I'd be okay with that.
Yeah, either way, the team is going to look incredibly different next year. And that, that's okay. That's why the onus is on them to win the Super Bowl this year.
Of the names that are out there that could be big-time cap casualties, because there are some big names. They have to re-sign Jair. If Rodgers, I mean, I don't know what you do. You backload. So we do this again in the year, 2025. We do this all over again. But there has to be somebody that you'll be all right with saying goodbye to. Is that Zadarius Smith? Who is that?
Zadarius Smith makes a lot of sense just because he's missed a lot of this year, well, the whole year with that back injury.
Yeah.
Even if he comes back and produces in the playoffs, I don't know how much faith the Packers are going to have that he'll be healthy. I mean, back injuries are no joke. I mean, J.J. Watt had one, and it pretty much changed his entire career. So he is one that I could see. Preston Smith is another name I hear brought up a lot. He is having a good year.
He's having a great year.
If you look at the pattern of his career, it's good year, bad year, good year, bad year, good year, bad year. So he's due for that bad year. I don't really play too much into those kind of like patterns. I think it's more of a coincidence than anything. But regardless, you have Rashawn Gary and you have other good young pass
How's
rush.
the game of cars going with your son right now?
We have a great pile building up on the floor. Yeah, we're missing the bin that I set up under the ramp to catch them.
I don't think I would be all that upset if either Smith brother was gone. And the Preston Smith reason of the every other year thing for you, I love Zadarius Smith, but they did draft Rashawn Gary, Devondre Campbell in the middle, and it feels like there's a chance they can go out and find another edge rusher. I know everybody's looking for outside linebacker help. Everybody's looking for edge rushers. But it feels like Green Bay has done well finding that guy in the draft, whether it was Clay Matthews or it's Rashawn Gary or whatever. There are guys out there they can find. I mean, hell, give me the fifth best guy in last night's national championship game. I'm fine with that because all the guys from Georgia and Bama look like they can play in the NFL.
Yeah, that was something else. And to think that Eric Stokes was on that Georgia defense last year, too.
Yeah.
Like, that's just crazy to me.
Imagine if he was still on that defense.
Oh, he could have been.
I mean, that's
glad he is on our defense. Don't get me wrong. He had a great year.
Hey, going into the offseason, and this is such a cliche question, is there anything you worry about at this point?
No, I don't really worry about it. It helps that we're in the NFC.
Yeah, let me rephrase that. Going into this bye week, is there anything you worry about? I apologize. I jumped the gun.
Oh, no, sure.
Is there anything in this bye week that worries you as we're all sitting back watching these playoffs this weekend, wondering who's coming to Green Bay?
I think no, because we're 5-0 against all the other playoff teams in the NFC that we've played this year. I don't really see any that worry me. A lot of people say that they're worried after the Detroit game because we fell for those 2 trick plays. And I'm not really that worried. I guess my main concern has been what my main concern has been all year long, and that's special teams. Because our special teams has been atrocious.
You're not excited about the savior, David Moore, coming over from the Seattle Seahawks? My favorite line was, he said, yeah, I met Aaron Rodgers on the sideline.
Yeah. I saw one thing. Whoa, David Moore, positive punt return. Put his number in the rafters.
Hey, hang it up, man. With all the garbage that they've been putting out there this year, there are 2 things that concern me in the playoffs. And it is what you're talking about. It is the entire special teams. They give up 60-yard returns or 50-yard returns seemingly on a regular basis. Mason Crosby has been abysmal for a lot of this year. Hello. Mason Crosby's been abysmal for a lot of this year. So those things definitely do scare me. The other thing is still, and I know the weapons aren't there like they were a while back, but I'm still scared of Tom Brady. It's the only thing that concerns me. Stafford doesn't scare me. Kyler Murray coming to Lambeau Field doesn't scare me. Dak coming doesn't scare me. None of the other teams. But that man down there in Tampa is still around.
Yeah, playoff Tom Brady is got some kind of aura around him where all the breaks just seem to go his way. And Tampa has been there before, and they beat us to get there. So I definitely see the concern with that this year. And I think that we fixed our defense. I don't think we're going to be allowing those big plays anymore. I guess I'm a little worried about the overconfidence.
Well, yeah, you just said you weren't worried about anything, and then all of a sudden now you're worried about being overconfident, Robin.
I'm worried about the overconfidence from a lot of people about the superstars coming back. Zadarius Smith is reportedly coming back for the playoffs. David Bakhtiari is back. Josh Myers is back. We're going to get Jair back. Billy Turner was just activated today. I mean, we could be going into the playoffs with our only two major pieces missing being Elton Jenkins and Robert Tonyan. And if you had said in the middle of the season, when all these guys were going down and COVID was a thing, all these guys going on that list, that those would be the only two guys missing going to the divisional round, I would have been ecstatic. And now we're here, and I am. But none of those guys are in game condition.
True.
David Bakhtiari and Josh Myers couldn't play the whole game because they were winded. And so it's great to have all these guys coming back. And I just hope that we're not going to be relying on them to be their all-pro mid-season form selves in order to win. Because if that's what we're going to rely on to win, I don't think we're going to.
I don't get a ballot, but if I did, Matt LaFleur would be my coach of the year. And it's not just because I have Lambeau Field in the background of the video that we're shooting, or I write for WisconsinSportsHeroics.com, or that I'm a Packers fan. But I realize Mike Vrabel has held the Tennessee Titans together without Derrick Henry. And Derrick Henry is an MVP candidate. But if you look at the job that the Packers coaching staff, led by Matt LaFleur, have done, the job they have done without Bakhtiari, the best left tackle in football, without Jair, without Tonyan, who's not coming back, without Myers, without Z, without all these pieces, and I know they have Aaron Rodgers. That's what I always hear. They have Aaron Rodgers. Mike McCarthy couldn't do it. Mike McCarthy couldn't keep the record, anywhere near Matt LaFleur's for the last 3 years. He was the head coach in Green Bay, to what Matt LaFleur has done in his first 3 years in Green Bay. And that, to me, like if Green Bay was limping into the playoffs with these guys and one guy might come back and they're the 4 seed or the 6 seed, I wouldn't feel that way. But to be 13-4, the Lions game didn't really matter. But to be 13-4 with all these injuries, the number 1 seed hosting the divisional round a week and a half from now, like to me, that is amazing if you look at everything that was on his plate.
That's absolutely true. You look at every week, it seemed like Matt LaFleur was breaking some new coaching record of wins in the first 3 seasons, wins against his divisional opponents, and it was with guys on the injury report every week, and not just your second or third stringers. It was your all pros. And he coached them up. He got them ready every week to at least compete. The only loss that you can put on our plate as a bad loss, in my opinion, was week 1.
I don't love the Minnesota loss. I did not love, because I hated the way LaFleur approached the first half in that game. I thought it was ultra-conservative. It looked a lot more like Mike McCarthy's offense than Matt LaFleur's offense. It kick-started in the second half when Rodgers had to be damn near perfect, and he almost was. But I didn't like the way that game to me was a Matt LaFleur loss. If I had to pick one outside of week 1, which nobody was prepared for that game.
Maybe I should rephrase, the only game in which we were not competitive.
Okay. You mentioned every time he's breaking, all these things, he's also breaking injury news. It felt like every week, another starter, another name going down, another all-pro guy, another Pro Bowler going down. You're like, what in the hell is going on over there? And to keep the ship and the train on the tracks, to me, was amazing, and that's why he gets my Coach of the Year award. I think Rodgers is a shoo-in for the MVP, unless there are 49 other Hub Arkishes that are voting for the MVP. I know Hub. I've talked to Hub a lot. I think what Hub is doing is wrong, but he's a voter. He's choosing to go that way. And I wouldn't be surprised, Robin, if Brian Gutekunst is your executive of the year. That Rasul Douglas move, that may have been the best move of the midseason in the entire NFL.
There's no doubt. I mean, that guy doubled his career interception numbers this season in, 11 games?
Yeah.
I think, with us. Just 11 games. He had 5 interceptions, 2 pick sixes, 2 in very clutch moments to seal wins. I've never seen anything like that. A guy who was on a practice squad.
Yeah.
A practice squad. And it was, you know what, Mike? He was on the Raiders practice squad this summer, and they cut him. And then he was on the Texans practice squad, and they cut him. And then he was on the Cardinals practice squad when we picked him up. So these 3 teams just were like, sure.
Yeah, and 2 of those are playoff teams. The Raiders and the
Yeah.
Cardinals are in the postseason. You're telling me right now they're not looking back, kicking themselves? They could use another defensive back who's a ball hawk, a guy who's opportunistic, and a guy who has had just a magnificent 11 games. That's unreal.
I mean, he was named a Pro Bowl alternate. And that was before they played the 11th game. So basically 10 games of work was so good they named him a Pro Bowl alternate. He's not going to go because he's going to be busy. But
I like your attitude. I like it. I like it a lot. As we are all sitting waiting around, do you have anybody you want to see more than the other, or somebody you don't want to see in round 2? They can't play the Buccaneers. That can't happen. But is there anybody that does scare you that could potentially be coming to Lambeau Field?
for the divisional round,
Yeah.
let's see. We have our
Well, the answer,
options.
Brady's the answer in the NFC Championship.
Yeah.
I'm fully aware of that. But is there anybody the other
I
way?
would hate to play Mike McCarthy in the conference championship though, because that storyline just writes itself.
It's perfect for the website. What are you talking about?
I know. Oh, yeah.
Right
Sure.
there, Wisconsin Sports Heroics, wisportsheroics.com. Are you kidding me? It's perfect for the site.
It's true. It would be fun. As far as the teams that could come next round,
You can say no. It's fine. It's okay to say no. I'm not worried about Dallas. I'm
Arizona,
not worried about Arizona.
you know.
I'm not worried about. Well, they might get Watt back. They might get DeAndre Hopkins back.
yeah, Arizona's got good weapons, but they really fell apart after the Packers game.
I think Kyler Murray.
I'm not-
We're learning about Kyler Murray and his clutchness. I don't think Kyler Murray has it yet as the
No.
Brady Rodgers kind of leader. I don't think Murray's got it yet.
No, I think that I'm not scared of the Rams
Not anymore.
at all.
Not anymore,
No.
man. Not like I thought I was going to be.
No, like
So the answer is
just-
nobody.
yeah, because the Eagles aren't going to win.
No. I would love it if they did.
And what's our other option? The 49ers? Not really
Is Kaepernick
concerned
quarterback
about
in that
that.
team anymore? Okay.
No.
Hey, Robin, thank you for coming on the podcast, man.
Hey, thanks
And
for
thank you-
having me.
Thanks for letting me be a part of wisportsheroics.com, Wisconsin Sports Heroics. It's been fun for me, and I'm going to continue hopefully rolling through a very long postseason for the Green Bay Packers. And again, my appreciation. Thanks for coming on the podcast.
Thanks for having me anytime.
And thank your son for being so awesome.
I will.
Follow him on Twitter at TheOtherAdams14. Read his work at wisportsheroics.com. This has been Wickett on Wisconsin. If you miss anything, we're on Spotify, Apple, and Google Podcasts, wisportsheroics.com as well. As always, go Pack Go, go Bucks, and go Brewers.